The sound is wrong. It is a wet, tearing sound in a world that should be frozen dry. But birth, deep in the chest of the old one, echoes off the limestone walls of the rock shelter. Each spasm is a tremor that runs through the small clan huddled near the fire. They watch her, their heavy brows furrowed not with incompression error, but with a deep, ancestral dread. Her breath, which has been the steady rhythm of their lives for 40 winters, is now a ragged, failing beat, and as her breath falters, so does the fire. It is a small, solemn thing, a pile of glowing embers that pulses weakly in the gloom. It offers little light and even less heat against the immense, predatory cold of the European Ice Age. The wind howls beyond the shelter's mouth, a promise of the white oblivion that will consume them all with the fired eyes. She is the heart of their clan, the matriarch of this family of Hominid. Her face, a roadmap of scars and survival, is slick with fever sweat. A younger female, her designated successor, gently lays a piece of damp hide on the old one's forehead. It is a gesture of care learned through imitation, a flicker of empathy in a brutal existence. The old one's eyes, cloudy with sickness, barely register the touch. Her world has shrunk to the agonizing effort of the next breath. A hunter returns from the frozen landscape, his broad shoulders dusted with snow. He carries no meat. Instead, he carefully unwraps a chunk of mammoth fat from a leather sheath and places it near the fire. It is not food for them, but for the slain. A desperate offering, a prayer made of calories. They are powerful people, built for this cold world, but their thick bones and heavy muscles are useless against the enemy that attacks from within. The fire is more than a tool. It is a member of the clan, the most important one. It is a living being, born generations ago from a lightning strike or a stolen branch. The old one is its keeper, its priestess. She has fed it, guarded it from rain and wind, and taught the young female its secrets, which wood burns hot, which burns slow, how to bank the coals so they sleep through the night and can be woken in the morning. This hearth is the central altar of their hominid history, the anchor that keeps them from scattering into the frozen dark. Around it, they shape their most aryan tools, share their food, and find comfort in the simple presence of others. The fire is the physical manifestation of their community, and its fading light is a prophecy. The old one is seized by another fit of coughing. It is a violent, rattling convulsion that leaves her gasping, a thin line of blood on her lips. At the same moment, a gust of wind curls into the shelter, and the fire sputters violently. The embers dim to a terrifying cherry red, threatening to wink out entirely. A collective gasp. The young female lunges forward, shielding the embers with her own body. She uses a shard of bone to push the mammoth fat closer, coaxing it to melt, to bleed its life into the dying coals. The fat sizzles, catches, and a small, hesitant flame licks upward. The clan watches, their own breathing suspended. For a moment, the flame dances, and the old one takes a single, shallow breath. The two hearts, one of fire, one of flesh, beat faintly, in unison, on the edge of extinction. The tiny flame holds. The immediate crisis is averted, and a collective, silent exhalation of relief passes through the clan. They are a study in exhaustion, their faces illuminated by the fragile light, revealing the deep-set anxiety that has become their only reality. The young female remains crouched by the hearth, a sentinel guarding a flicker of hope. She adds tiny slivers of dry moss and slivers of wood, painstakingly gathered from a sheltered crevice inside the cave, nursing the fire with the tenderness of a mother tending a newborn. But this is a temporary reprieve, not a victory. The matriarch's breathing settles back into its terrible, wet rhythm. The cold is a patient creditor, and it will not be denied for long. Their intelligence, their ability to plan beyond the next meal, is now their only weapon. Two of the hunters rise. There is no discussion, no spoken plan. Their communication is a series of glances and slight nods, a language of shared experience honed over 1,000 hunts and 100 crises. They know the dump, Frozen wood they have is not enough. They need something better. Something that burns hot and long. They need birch bark, rich with flammable oils, or a dense, dry heartwood of a pine felled in a forgotten summer. To get it, they must venture out into the wind's teeth, into a world where the air itself is a weapon. They pull on their thickest hides, check the sharpened points of their flint-tipped spears, and take a single, smoldering branch from the fire. It will be their shield and their timer. When it dies, they must be back, or they too will be consumed by the cold. This is the essence of their survival skills, a deep understanding of risk, resource, and the brutal mathematics of time and temperature. They exchange a final look with the young female at the fire and slip out into the roaring white. Inside, the remaining clan members turn their attention back to the other failing hot. The young successor, having stabilized the fire, now focuses on the old one. She has seen this sickness before in the young, a winter curse that steals the breath. She initiates a desperate remedy. Another female heats flat stones at the edge of the embers until they hiss with heat. She then uses two sticks to carefully drop them into a watertight pouch made from an animal bladder. Filled with melted snow, the young successor crushes a handful of bitter, aromatic leaves, a plant they know keeps the biting insects away in the summer, and adds them to the steaming water. She holds the pouch close to the matriarch's face. A thin vapor, pungent and medicinal, rises. The steam is a fragile prayer, an attempt to fight the cold inside with a ghost of heat from without. The old one inhales, and for a few precious moments, her breathing seems to ease. It is an act of profound, desperate care, an application of knowledge passed down through generations. But it is not a cure. The sickness has a hole too deep to be broken by scented steam. The matriarch's fever continues its slow, inexorable climb. The day bleeds into a long, terrifying twilight. The fire consumes their meager fuel. The hunters have not returned. The sound of cracking wood breaks the tense silence. It is sharp, loud, and close. A large male grabs a spear, his body coiling into a defensive crouch at the cave mouth. Then, a familiar grunt. The hunters return. They are specters of ice and exhaustion, their beards and the fur of their cloaks skaked in frozen snow. But they are triumphant. One carries a large roll of birch bark, stripped from a tree in a sheltered ravine. The other holds a heavy section of pine, its resinous heartwood promising a long, hot burn. They drop their burdens and collapse, their duty done, their energy spent. The young female wastes no time. She peels a strip of the oily bark and offers it to the embers. The effect is immediate and miraculous. The fire surges to life, a whoosh of bright orange flame that pushes back the shadows and throws dancing figures on the cave walls. A collective sigh of warmth and security fills the shelter. The first battle, the Bansha is won. But the victory is hollow. The sudden light reveals what the gloom had mercifully hidden. The matriarch is fading. The steam and herbs have failed. Her breaths are now impossibly shallow, each one a whisper of a whisper. She is no longer fighting. The young female kneels beside her, and this time, the old one's eyes meet hers. There is a flicker of lucidity, a moment of recognition across the abyss of sickness. The matriarch's gaze is not one of fear, but of command. Her eyes move from the young female's face to the now roaring fire, and back again. The instruction is clear. An unspoken will pass from one generation to the next. The fire must live. It is a final act of leadership, a transfer of sacred responsibility that forms the very bedrock of their culture. This is more than instinct. It is symbolic behavior, a ritual of continuity. The old one's hand, gnarled and frail, reaches out and touches the younger woman's cheek. The touch is feather-light, and then it is gone. The matriarch exhales one last time, a sigh so quiet it is almost lost in the crackle of the flames, and she is still. The tearing sound is gone. A new sound replaces it, a single, heartbreaking wail from the young female. The grief is a physical force, a wave that washes over the clan. But they have no time for mourning. The body will grow cold. And in this world, that is an invitation to dangers both seen and unseen. The young female, her face streaked with tears, masters herself. She rises, her shoulders set with the weight of her new burden. She finds a small, hollowed-out stone, an immaterial, with a pair of sticks. She carefully selects the brightest, most perfect coal from the heart of the fire they just saved. She places it in the stone vessel, cradling it in a nest of dry moss. She looks at the body of her mentor one last time, then turns her back. Her clan follows. They walk out of the shelter, away from the body of their matriarch, and into the biting wind. They are carrying the fire. They are carrying the future. They do not look back. To look back is to invite the cold into their hearts. Their departure from the rock shelter is not an act of carelessness, but a profound act of survival's brutal logic. The individual is gone, but the clan, embodied by that single, sacred ember, continues. The new matriarch carries not just a coal,
it is a leap in the story,
but the accumulated wisdom, the communal memory, and the identity of her people. Every hearth they will ever build will be a child of this fire. This moment encapsulates a turning point in human evolution. The transition from mere existence to a culture of continuity, where legacy is preserved not in genes alone, but in a flame passed from one hand to the next. Their grief is real, a wound that will scar over but never truly heal. Yet, it is channeled into the most potent act of love they can imagine, carrying on. The warmth of their future fires will forever be mingled with the memory of the one they lost. A silent acknowledgement that every new beginning is built upon the ashes of an end. Their story reminds us that the warmth in our own homes is a ghost, an echo of a fire kept alive against an ancient and unforgiving coal, and that the cost of light has always been lost. The past is a cave painting illuminated by a dying flame. Look closely, before the next shadow falls.